Deconverted man on Deconverted man here. Sovereign citizens. Ah, yes. You've probably seen a clip or two of these people saying all sorts of nonsense to cops or judges or whoever. And yeah, the whole thing. It's this weird phenomenon that exists in our world. I can't do a deep dive. Well, I could, but I don't have the time, patience, energy, or information in full to do it. It's kind of a shallow dive, if you will. But I wanted to talk about this because it interacts with beliefs that people have, and I want to compare and contrast it to belief in God or other religious ideas. Religion, of course, is a very broad term. You know, it's a bunch of traditions and stories passed from one person to the next, passed from one group to the next. So religion is kind of a broad brush stroke. Belief in the paranormal or psychic powers or God or angels or demons or devils or magic or mysticism, crystals having powers or, whatever it is, superstition, all these different beliefs that people have. And this is one more belief that people hold. The sovereign citizen has a number of beliefs that they've obtained. And they've obtained these beliefs via, usually, somebody told them, or a group of somebody's, or they found out for themselves. In the clip here, we're going to hear one guy talk about that a little bit and give away how he found this stuff out. He did research, not enough quotes in the universe, research, and found the real, all capital, the real law that really governs things that everybody else just doesn't know about. These judges and these lawyers and the police officers somehow are just unaware of reality. But a few websites out there have the real truth and the real reality out there to explain to people, if only you will accept and believe it. And so there's a very close parallel with the explanations of the sovereign movement mindset and what you would see in a believer of a cult or a religion. They have secret knowledge that's only possessed by a few. They know tricks that can get out of issues. They're not really under this or that. And it's all kind of built on a number of psychological things that humans have. And again, religion taps into those psychological needs and desires that we have. And here the sovereign citizen movement is tapping into different psychological needs and desires that we have. I want to have autonomy. I want to have control. I don't want to submit myself to somebody else's rules and regulations. I want to do what I want to do, and I don't want to do what I don't want to do. And who should be able to tell me anything, really, except for the things that I allow. I allow that God tells me what to do. I allow my own nature to tell me what to do. I allow humanity to inform me what to do. And those are laws beyond the laws that you think that there are, because these are natural laws that are the real laws of the real reality that we live in. And that trumps your laws that you think that you have, He took a sovereign citizens movement today. Well, God equals the square root of -1. If insanity lasts longer than 1 hour, consult a different doctor. But okay, so there's a lot of history to the sovereign citizen movement, And I've linked in the description a couple of pages, and this one page actually links to other pages. So this is a huge deep dive on it from the University of Tasmania. And although they're covering Australian stuff, this applies to America as well. They use different things, but yeah, this exists not just in America. It exists in Australia. It exists other places as well. And I'd imagine there's a version of this in all sorts of different places. Anywhere where there's a system that you are supposed to adhere to, there's something that says, oh no, you don't really have to do that. So this is I'm going to read some of this, and then I'm going to read some of the next page I've got, and then I'm going to play the clip from this video and talk about this some more. So sovereign citizens see themselves as sovereign. They're not bound by the laws of the country in which they physically live. And if you accept that law or regulations, then they've waived their rights as a sovereign. And then you've accepted a contract with the government. So there's no single leader. There's no central doctrine. There's no centralized collection of documents. So this is kind of a widespread zeitgeist movement. It's not like a religion, but it acts kind of like a religion. It's based on their reinterpretation of law, and there's a link here. There are many legal document templates on the internet that you can find, and so it's all to avoid paying a fine or rates that you see unfair. They don't have to follow conventional legal arguments, or they don't follow conventional legal arguments, and they'll waste time and energy and money on repeated court action, and have even been declared vexus ligens. I can't pronounce that. That's not how you say those words. Whatever. They've been declared that by the courts. Courts don't like them. Like they're argumentative. They're a waste of the time of the court. The movement has many local variations, and there's some key commonalities across the Australian sovereign citizen movement. I think you'd find those to be true in the American one as well. The government is a corporation. That's one belief that's somewhat common. And so there's certain key phrases you need to say. So I don't consent, or I represent myself. I'm a living or natural being, and then you say I comprehend, and so you have these magical phrases that you need to utter as a sovereign citizen, and all in efforts to avoid doing something ridiculously simple. Okay, so here's Forbes. Here they say, think about a law you don't like. Big law like paying income taxes, tiny one like licensing your pet chihuahua with the county. If you're a member of the Tea Party movement, the solution is, protest your opinion in D.C., in other metropolitan areas. Write angry letters to your congressman, vote for politicians who agree with you that a law should be scrapped as soon as possible. Yeah, it seems reasonable. Do a campaign, do activism, be a political activist, get into special interest groups, raise funding for this, etc. That seems reasonable. That's like how we're supposed to change laws, right? Oh, well, but see, if you're a member of the sovereign citizen movement, screw that. Let's look at quotes and definitions, court cases, the Bible, internet websites, whatever you can, and then justify how you can ignore the dislike law without any legal consequences. Be imaginative. Pull a line from the 1215 version of the Magna Carta, a definition from a 1913 legal dictionary, a quote from a founding father or two, and put it in the blender with some official sounding Supreme Court case excerpts you found on like-minded websites. Better yet, find someone else online who just liked the same law and pay them $150 or more for a 3-ring binder filled with their word salad not enough quotes in the universe research. They should have put quotes around the word research because it's not. I wouldn't call it research. And voila! You have proven you don't have to obey the law you dislike, and in fact, it's your patriotic duty to disobey it. And anyone who tells you otherwise is just plain un-American, and probably this is part of the worldwide Jewish conspiracy to ensure that Chihuahuas are slaves to the U.S. government. I love the humor here. This is great. So yeah, that's a pretty broad brushstroke. But yeah, if you spend any time listening to sovereign citizens talk to police or judges, which is where you'll see them do that, because you only see these people or hear these people when they appear in front, they appear on camera, and many of them record. They're like really like they want everything to be on record. They're like very obsessed with that. They're like, is this on record? I want this on record. I want to record this for my own records. Record. And to some extent, I understand. There's nothing wrong with having a record, but they're like yeah, it's all recorded. It's all. So, what compels somebody? What gets you to this? And again, I don't want to play the clip, but I'll get to it in a bit. Psychology. Well, there's a lot of commonality between accepting this doctrine, this idea that you have found secret information that nobody or very few people know about, and that if you say these magical phrases, well, they don't call them magical phrases, but if you say these certain phrases, you can get away with doing something that you don't have to do. This doesn't apply to you. You don't need to get a driver's license because you're a natural born citizen and you can travel. What the bleep that means? What do you mean by any of that, right? And so there's a parallel. Yes, it's true. We're all the bad things. We're all the sinners, But I know these magical phrases that I can say that get me out of the sin condition that we're all under. By the way, you didn't know that we were under the sin condition? Yeah, that's also part of reality. You didn't know that, but now you know because we told you that that's how things work. What's the proof that that's how things work? Shut up. Look. That's the way things work, okay? Yeah. So in order to get away from that, although you're not really away from it, you're just kind of away from it, is to say these magical words. So again, we're not going to call them magical. Jesus loves you and died for your sins. And if you accept that that's true and worship him and do other things as well. But if you accept that, then accepting a big part of it, believe it, in other words, buy into it, then you get away with doing the sin. The sin doesn't count against you. It's still there. You're still gonna die, but you don't really die because you get a bonus level where you didn't actually die and you get to continue playing forever. And also you'll not die this time around. So that's cool. But only if you know the right magical phrases, mystical phrases to utter. Okay, so let's check this out. And it's the audio is not great, but I don't know where the original video is, so maybe the original video is a bit better, but whatever. It's what I could find of this. I thought that this was one example. This particular judge, I think, is very patient, very kind, and has obviously dealt with sovereign citizens before. And although he's probably fed up with it, he's doing his best to help this guy. And I've gotten to this point of 7:35 time index. If you want to, watch the whole thing, you can do that. But yeah, okay. So here we go.
It states right here, under U.S. Supreme Court decision, that common law is the real law, the supreme law of the land, that codes, rules, regulations, policy, and statutes are not the law. So therefore, as in insurance, regulations, title, tags are not law. That's as it's stated here, Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan, U.S. Department of Labor, 1769, or 769 F 2D 1344, 1348, 1985. And then U.S. Supreme Court decision 1796. There, every man is independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound by any institutions formed by his fellow men without his consent. Cruden versus Neal. Then this decision has never been overturned.
Okay, I'm not sure where you get this stuff. If that were true, you wouldn't need me. You wouldn't need police. You'd have anarchy and people rioting in the streets and doing. We're about there now. People do whatever they feel like. If somebody says something they don't like, they shoot them. Somebody says something they don't like, they punch them in the nose. They feel like everybody else's property is their property. There's something here in the United States, here in Michigan and here in St. Joe County called the rule of law. And the judges don't make the laws, the legislature does. The judges are sworn to enforce them. So at this point, somebody gave you all this information, which doesn't really affect anything, and it isn't a legitimate defense. You're entitled to have it. You're entitled to be misinformed. I can't, and you're entitled to believe what you want. You're entitled to have a trial in front of 6 jurors.
Yeah, we can do that.
This isn't even, that stuff won't even get to a jury. The only question would be, did you have insurance and were you driving? Anyway, as I said, I don't want you to get on the driving suspended merry-go-round and you'd be unable to get off of it. Whoever is giving you this information is doing you a terrible disservice.
Okay, so the judge is calmly, rationally, logically explaining, listen, you have a belief system. You believe this stuff. That's not against the law. You're allowed to believe whatever nonsense you want to believe. Man, I've been that dude. I've been the judge, you know. I feel his pain, you know. He's staying way calmer than I ever could. That's why he's the judge and I'm not, right? But I've been there where it's like, yeah, I know you believe that this is true. I know that. I get it. I understand. But what you need to understand is you're wrong about everything. And here's why. And I've explained how and why you're wrong. And not only me, but other people have explained how and why you're wrong. And you're not really listening to them. I mean, you're reading them. You're reading what they said, you know, but you don't believe them. You think you're right, but you're not right. And I don't know what to do to show you how wrong you are because it's already been done. We've said, here's what the science actually says. Here's what we actually know. Here's what we can demonstrate. Here's what is history, what isn't history. Here's how we decide what history is. Here's all these facts and stuff, and it doesn't matter because the belief trumps the reality. There's so many cherry-picked quotes that guy said. None of that matters. But when it's compiled in that format there, it seems like, yeah, that sounds like, what are you saying? Are you saying that there are no laws, that the laws that are made don't really count? But think about that. There was a case somewhere, when it was decided in that court of law that, well, actually, the court and law doesn't exist, shouldn't exist, because natural law should exist. So we're going to make a law that recognizes that law is illegal to have and thus revert to natural law. Wait, what? We're going to make a paradox rendering law impossible, and the only law that isn't a law is now natural law, but it's not really a law because it's not a law. So there are no laws. There's no laws. Oh, okay. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, do whatever you want. And the judge is kind of reflecting on that, yeah, people kind of do whatever they want to some extent. That there are people that will shoot you or punch you or whatever, and because they don't think that the law applies to them. And that the judges aren't They're not making the laws, they're just enforcing them, and the police are doing the same thing. They're not making the laws, they're just enforcing them. And well, the higher governments make those laws or get them into place, and we kind of can do stuff about those laws. But that's all the system. And so you're saying, but way back when, the system said that system didn't exist. Okay, cool. Well, did that information just die in that courtroom? Like, after that case was settled, like that, what happened? Why didn't all the courts say, hey, we heard about that case, I guess we don't need courts anymore? And the government just go, well, okay, we don't need cops anymore. You heard about that case? It was amazing. The guy won. Yeah, natural law, whatever that is. Okay, good luck, everybody. Close up shop, guys. Like, did nobody know about it? Like, what do you believe happened in that court case where it was decided that law isn't law anymore? But somehow, even though that was the official ruling and never got overturned, but how would you overturn it if there are no courts now? So there shouldn't be any courts if it was actually... So it's completely nonsensical. But the guy believes it. Why does he believe this? Why does this guy believe? And listen what he's there for. He drove without insurance. He had no insurance. And so now, and he has a driver's license, now he's going to get his driver's license revoked because it was put into law that we have to have driver's insurance. And so if you're going to drive, you need a driver's license and you need insurance. That's the law. It's very simple. It's not that hard. It's inconvenient. It may be a bit expensive, whatever. But okay. You do it. You just do that thing. And then you're done. You get insurance, and guess what? You have your driver's license and you go home. It's very simple. But instead of doing that, the guy's going to fight tooth and nail to resist the idea that this isn't even a law. Yeah, it's not even a law. You can't tell me to have insurance because it doesn't apply to me. Or in this case, it's not even real.
You got these tickets in other jurisdictions that you didn't pay. Now you're suspended. How'd you get here today?
I got a ride. Somebody gave me a ride.
All right. Well, don't drive anymore till we sort this out. I would like to see you get back on the right side of having a driver's license. This stuff is not helpful. It doesn't aid your cause. It has little meaning. And the bottom line is you need to have a valid driver's license. You need to have insurance. This stuff doesn't carry any lawful weight in any court in the state of Michigan. So I'm going to show you're pleading not guilty. We'll send you out to the court office. We'll have a pretrial. You can share your thoughts and beliefs with the prosecutor. They'll probably just make them mad. But Miss Jackson's advice is a good one. If you can go get the tickets paid off, get your license available to get it, they may give you some consideration. But you live in Constantine, which is a little place.
Right.
Every time you drive, they're going to pull you over again.
Yeah,
We're going to be on the merry-go-round and we won't be able to get off of it.
So again, using clear, concise, reason, logic, facts. Look, these laws apply to you. They apply to everybody. You've been told, you've come to believe that that's not the case. And so what happened is, you're living in a very small town. I guess, where, all the police will know you by sight, and they see you, they're going to pull you over because they know that something's up. And they're going to pull you over, and you're not going to have a license, or you're not going to have registration, you're not going to have insurance. And if you did have a license, a driver's license, they're going to suspend it, and you're going to wind up back in court again. And that's what he's saying with the merry-go-round. We're just going to go around and around, keep doing this, where, like, pay the ticket. So he got some ticket. Like, he parked somewhere he wasn't supposed to park. He parked too long. whatever it is. Sign the social contract, right? Yeah. So whatever happened that got him noticed by the court, unpaid parking ticket, whatever. Maybe parked in front of a fire hydrant, parked in a disabled place, parked in front of a, driveway, whatever. Something stupid, something silly. And that got him a ticket. And he didn't pay the ticket because I don't need to pay the ticket. I'm a sovereign citizen. I'm a natural born citizen. This doesn't apply to me. And they're like, yeah, well, hello, Captain Jeff. Hello, Roger Swift. This law isn't really a law. Yeah. I just, I'm so smart. I figured out a way to beat the system. Yeah. Just ignore it. That's great. So, and so the judge is saying, look, the things that you're saying don't apply in court. The stuff that you're talking about has no legal basis at all. But rather than listen to the judge who knows what he's saying, the guy knows better. He knows better. Yeah. Because he has a belief.
So, like I said, you've always been polite and respectful, and you're entitled to believe what you want, but this isn't helpful to your cause. So we'll get a pretrial, let you share that information with the prosecutor, see what they want to do. But Ms. Jackson's advice, I think, is good advice. Okay. All right, Mr. Aiken, why don't you take him out to the counter? Now, what's going to happen next, and I apologize, once upon a time, we used to do the pretrial right here at the time of the arraignment. But with county cases, we're not able to do that presently. Are you missing work right now?
No, not right now.
Okay, good. I don't want you to have to take time off from work to come back here, but we'll talk further about this. And if you want a trial, you're ultimately entitled to have one. My hope is you could get some of this stuff squared away, and the prosecutor will give you some consideration, help you get your valid license back. But when you were young, you took driver's ed, you did all the steps you needed to do to get a valid license?
Correct, I did then. That was before I actually started researching into law, actual common law of the United States of America.
All right, so there it is. That's it. There it is. Yeah, when I was young, I got a driver's license, but that was before I actually started researching, not enough close to the universe here. I researched into common law and the real law. See, I found out. See, I did my own research. Man, where have I heard that phrase? All those anti-vax people, do your own research. Same thing. Yeah, because you're smarter than every other person that exists. I researched. And I don't know if the subtitles help or not. I know that it's kind of echoey, so I thought having the subtitles on might help. But yeah, before I knew the reality, I started researching into the real common law of the United States. Not the law that you think is real, Judge, but the actual real law. Why wouldn't the judge know that? Like, what sort of conspiratorial narrative would you have to have in place to think that here are these judges that get paid by somebody to enforce laws that aren't really laws? I'm not going to be one of those suckers, though. See, I just say the magical words. See, I know. I did the research. I'm so smart.
United States of America, which is common law, God's law. Legal is undoing of God's law. Illegally. That's
legal. Legal is undoing of God's law, the common law. So the legal law, it undoes God's law. What the hell is God's law? I don't know. But whatever God's law is, the legal, so basically the laws are not laws because that undoes God's laws, which are the real laws. Which, why isn't the judge enforcing God's laws then? Did they not get the memo?
That's what it comes down to. I mean, I know you don't know it. It's just there's a whole bunch of fraud.
Well, I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I've been here for 42 years and people have been making these harebrained arguments for years and they don't carry any weight. And I'm sorry that you have gone down this path, but it isn't gonna be beneficial. And the better, and you went to all the effort to get a driver's license. Don't throw it away because of some mistaken beliefs about something that was rendered in 1796. So anyway, we'll send you out for a pretrial and we'll see where this goes. But I appreciate the fact that you are polite, respectful, and you have a right to believe misinformation if you want to, but it isn't in your best interest.
Oh, man. You have the right to believe in misinformation if you want to, but it isn't in your best interest. Amen, right? To steal from religion again. Yeah. And so, this is one example, obviously. There's plenty of examples, different people doing different levels of this whole sovereign citizen bullshit. And it is bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit. But people believe it. People believe it's really real, and that saying these magical phrases or citing certain court cases or whatever will get you out of doing the thing that you don't want to do. So what does he not want to do? Pay some parking tickets. Okay, I get it. I know. It's unfair. It sucks, okay? He doesn't want to have car insurance. I know. It sucks. Not fair. Costs money. I know. You don't like it. You got a driver's license, though. You say, yeah, I got that. But see, then I learned the real law. Well, then you should have just tossed away your driver's license. Why did you keep that then? That's the man-made law. The God's law overrules the man-made law. And God, isn't that funny how we see God sneak into this thing, if you will? That God is in somewhere in the midst of this insanity regarding laws don't apply to me or my group. And what we saw in Texas and what was the other state that did it? I can't remember now offhand, but they tried to get the Bible taught in schools. No, that was Texas. The other one they put up the 10 Commandments again in courts, or they wanted to do that. I don't know if they were successful, but they wanted to do it. The laws don't apply to Christians. What are you talking about? No, of course not. The Constitution of the United States might say that there's a guarantee that the government doesn't get to tell you what religion to follow. But you see, the government's actually founded on Christian principles, so that means Christianity is exempt from the rule that made the rule. See, you didn't know that, but that's the real reality. See, we knew that, and people believe that sort of nonsense. People believe that they have the true grasp on the true nature of the true reality. And this goes for religion and God as well as laws that we all need to abide by. You want to change laws? Yeah, it's a tough uphill battle, man. It's going to take you time, energy, and money. And I know it can be frustrating because you might not be successful. But there is a way to legitimately change laws. You don't like the tickets? Okay, first you pay them off, then you fight the law, and maybe you'll never get that money back. I doubt it, but at least you'll get rid of the law that made that ticket a thing. Okay, but you have to work within the system. Oh, but the real system is God's system, whatever that is. Oh yeah, what's God say? And why does nobody follow it? Oh, because you all were suckers. You all fell for it. But we know the magical, real reality. And then they find themselves in prison, and while in prison, they don't lose the belief. The belief actually gets strengthened. Well, of course I'm in jail. Because it's all corrupt. I'm right, and that's why I'm being told I'm wrong. You see that in the Bible. People will tell you that you're wrong. People will make fun of you. Interesting. So I had somebody tell me in a comment, you telling me that I'm wrong proves the Bible was right. because it says in the Bible that people will persecute me for my beliefs. I'm like, of course it says that. Why wouldn't it say that? This belief is nonsense, and people are gonna make fun of you for it. Because it is nonsense, and people are gonna make fun of you for it. That doesn't make it true, though. It's like it's admitting enough. It's like, yeah, people are gonna make fun of you for this belief. No, kidding. Yeah, Turnip Truck. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, isn't it? I don't know where that saying came from. I have to look at that at some point. So there's some deep psychology here of belief. People acquire beliefs. I did my own research. I looked into the matter on my own, and I figured out, that I'm right about this, or that they're right, these people out there. They don't have degrees in law or whatever, but sure, I mean, it's on the internet. Why would they lie? And and so you go, but well, why? Why? I don't, it's weird, isn't it? So, kind of taking a different way to look at it, different conspiratorial ideas. Now, there are some real conspiracies, and so the word conspiracy theory, I think maybe we need two terms. We need a woo theory and conspiracy theory, where like woo applies to the things that didn't turn out to be true, and the other, I don't know. We need maybe different terms, but whatever. Anyways, there are things that turn out to be true that are conspiratorial. Conspiracy, of course, is more than one person is in on the deal. You have the train thing where the great detective boards the train and finds out who killed the person. It's a conspiracy. Everybody killed the person, basically. They took turns. Yeah. Although I guess technically the first, they're all guilty in some way. And so is there somebody in being a Christian in chat, or being a sovereign in chat? I'm looking over at chat. I don't know. Roster, I looked like he's talking to somebody else, but I didn't. Okay, maybe not. All right. So there's these deep psychological things in our brains that trigger, and I say that for all of us. It's not like I'm immune to it. It's not like you're immune to it. It's just, we're aware of it, and being aware of that you have these things that can trigger in your brain is good, but that doesn't stop them from triggering. So you might find that you believe something that isn't actually really true about the real reality. And you'll notice in ways you talk or write about it, if you can take a step back, or that's why it's so important to have other people look at what you've said and what you wrote and give you critical feedback on it. And being a skeptic, as I try to be, I attempt to be a skeptic. People sometimes mistake my skepticism for being on the other side, quote unquote. I have somebody that I think of fondly on YouTube, who every now and then will make a video. And, they're not logical. They're kind of just whatever is in his mind at the time. And because it's political time in America, it's getting close to election time, he's talking about politics. And I'm like, oh, geez, okay, whatever. So he said all this stuff. And I'm like, is that a logical argument that you just made? Because I'm not telling him what fallacies he made. I'm asking him, did he make a logical argument? Because I want him to see if he did or didn't. I want him to answer that question critically. I want him to critically analyze his own efforts. And he didn't answer that question. He said, well, the person I'm talking about, of course, they've done all this terrible stuff. Okay. Is that a logical argument? And they're like, well, we need to talk live or something, whatever, like, because I'm thinking that he thinks that I'm disagreeing with him when I'm not. I'm asking him to use logic. I said, no, we don't need to do that. Are you being logical? He's like, well, it makes sense to me. I'm like, is saying it makes sense to me a logical argument? No, it's not, right? And I don't want, and so I want him to see what he's doing. Another person, a different person who I don't know personally or anything like that, but I watch his stuff. He makes content about science, and I've learned a lot of scientific things. And again, lately, he made a political video. I hate politics. I do. It's an us versus them. There's too many broad brushstrokes, and this is where I was trying to get to with what you say and what you write will be very broad brushstrokes. Will be very simplistic in nature, very watered down. There's no nuance anymore, and that's when you need to back up a bit. I do that with religion. I do it. I know I do it. I'm absolutely guilty of this. But it's fine when I do it because I'm awesome. I say that, but I shouldn't. But yeah. And he did this comparison thing and tried to show that somebody is losing their mental facilities. Okay, cool. Is that a scientific thing that we can do? That is to say, can we analyze somebody psychologically from just watching videos of them? Videos from the past versus video in a week ago they did this, they said this, and now they said this, and I just watched those, and somehow there's some method I can apply to figure out what their mental well-being is. Maybe they're in a cognitive decline of some sort, and I use this methodology to deduce that, and it's objective and it works every time, and it's been studied, and here's all the results. And is it scientific? That's the question I'm asking. Here's a scientifically minded individual making a video about politics that may or may not be scientifically minded. Then it is to say, they're saying, hey, look, the guy looks like he's crazy now. Maybe he is. I don't know. Is that system that you're using to deduce that the guy is crazy now a valid system? Is it a scientific system? He hasn't answered that question that I asked. So, I don't know. But I suspect it isn't a scientific system because he had no citations linked, no papers linked, no anything linked. So he's come to a belief regarding an individual that might be true. For all we know, could be true. I'm not saying it is or isn't. But I've used this system that I came up with and or that somebody else came up with, and that has no data to support it because maybe it is, but I don't know that. So I need to demonstrate how this system works. I need to show that method works, and that's a scientific endeavor, and therefore there'd be at least one paper written about it, and I could cite that paper, we could read it, I could explain it to you, whatever, but that's not being done. Why? Because I have a belief that I think is really real and true, and I really am very passionate about this belief, and I need to prove this belief to you, but I'm not going to use logic or reason or science because I know I'm right. I'm not going to use the actual real law because I know I'm right. I'm not going to submit to the laws of reality as we understand them, physics and all that, because there's a God that overrides all of that, and I know that there's a God because I'm right. It's the same thinking. It's just in different contexts. Same sort of thinking. I know better than you know. I know better than anyone else. I have figured it out. And it might be true. You can be correct on accident, but without that underlying methodology, you won't know that you're correct, and neither will anyone else. And the scariest, saddest thing that I read was in the comments of that video where somebody was saying, well, somebody pointed out logical fallacies, but they didn't refute the argument, and I wanted to throw my entire everything at that person. I'm like, you don't need to refute anything. If you point out a logical fallacy in somebody's argument, they're done. Game over, man. Their argument sucks. You don't need to refute it. Because they needed to make the valid and sound argument. They didn't. Now you have to be skeptical, which is not to say that it's untrue. And people keep doing this. They do it a lot, it feels like, to me. But, because I'm being skeptical, and so it feels, well, of course, when you're skeptical, people are going to do that. They're going to think that you're on the other side. No, I'm not on any side. I'm not on any side other than the side of logic. And I'm also in the same boat as you. I could be doing it wrong too. I think I'm doing it right. I hope I'm doing it right. And in saying, hey, look, you're not using the scientific method. You're not using the logical method. And I've got bozos over here saying, well, we don't. So what if it's a logical fallacy? Who cares? In fact, non-logical arguments can convince people. Yeah, that's true, but I don't care that that's true because I want to use logic, because it not only do I know that it actually is a thing that I can really trust, but whether it convinces, it's like, and so it's like, well, now I need a metadata study to show that it's better to do the thing that actually is coherent than to do the thing that works. Like, if we discover that it works to use non-logical arguments on people, in that it convinces people to do what you want, then shouldn't we do that? Then it raises ethical questions. Where's my duty to the truth? If we told kids that koalas eating eucalyptus made the kids run out and start eating eucalyptus, would we need to conceal the truth? Oh, man. Is it a losing battle to fight for the use of logic and reason? It might be, I don't know. But I have a belief, don't I? I have a belief that logic and reason are logical and reasonable. But I can use logic and reason to justify logic and reason, but that's circular. So, oh God, now where am I? But I have to have some system. And the system can be shown to work. The system of logic can be shown to work. The system of science can be shown to work. The system of emotional appeal can be shown to change people's minds, but it can't be shown to be true unless it actually is true. And so the person might be very fair in saying, well, what do you care about? Changing minds or the truth? Both. I value truth and changing minds, and I don't want to use non-truth to change somebody's mind. I can insert emotion, as I'm doing, into the logical argumentation, so I can have both. Is it too much to ask that we do this consistently? Maybe. I don't know. But that's like my thing. That's what I want to promote, is us to all use logic as much as we can do. We can catch people displaying lack of empathy, being dishonest, lack of self-awareness. Psychoanalyzing folks without third-party testimony is very dicey. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I don't know what we could or couldn't do. I have no idea. Like I said, we would need... It's an interesting, open-ended question that you could produce a study on if you have the resources, time, and energy to do it. And you could even write a paper about it, and then it becomes science, right? So I don't know. Okay, so leveraging all the historical crimes of Christianity against it is a good example of how the emotional appeal that can work. Possibly, yeah, because you're using truth. You're saying, hey, look, it's true that Christians have done X, Y, and Z bad things. It is emotional because it hits your emotions. So it's kind of a double whammy, but it might not actually work because the person's like, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to double down and I'm going to believe it anyways because, yeah, those Christians, they weren't the real Christians. Okay, yeah, sure. Right, because I know the real Christianity. Of course, the Islam. Islam did this really well. They did it so damn well that even politics got involved somehow and accepted it as fact. You can't. We have Islamophobia, but it's true that the Muslim thing is like kill, 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 kill everybody. That's true. That's what their thing says. It says it in their thing, and then they do it. The people that got the planes to fly into the buildings and the other building, and then the one that got crashed onto the ground because the passengers fought back. All those people really believe their own doctrine. They really followed through. And then you've got a war going on because certain people attacked other people during a religious holiday, no less. They went over and killed a whole bunch of people, and now there's a war because of it. And on one side, historically, one of these groups, we'll call them J, are fighting the other group, we'll call them M. And historically, J has offered M peace treaty after peace treaty after peace treaty. We'll give you this land. We'll give you this. We'll let you do this. We'll let you do that. And every single time, the other group, M, has said, cool, we'll take that, and now we're going to kill you. We want more. We want to be in charge as well. We want this, we want this, we want this, and by the way, we want you dead, basically. We don't want to just be in charge. We want you dead. And we're going to prove that we want you dead by killing you. And the J group historically has been like, we fight until you stop fighting, and then we stop fighting immediately because we don't want to fight. We want peace. And the other group's like, cool, yeah, peace is good. By the way, we just stabbed you in the back again. So they keep doing this endless thing. And you could use that as a historical thing and say, well, it looks like the M group is evil and vile and they keep killing, and the J group wants peace. But a lot of people are against the J group because now the J group has a lot of power and missiles and bombs that the other group doesn't have. And it's like, well, they're killing more people than they need to kill. It's like, they'll stop as soon as they stop. So we know that they'll stop. All they have to do is like release certain hostages or whatever the thing is, and then they'll stop fighting. But the other group doesn't want to do that. So they're going to keep fighting until they do. And I'm going to pick a side. And then I'm going to be on that side, and I'm going to justify it with X, Y, and Z. And all because, and what are they fighting over? Oh, they're fighting over fucking land. Because they all believe that this one spot of dirt is fucking holy. It all goes back to God again. Of course it does. Of course it does. It all goes back to thinking that they're right. Both sides think they're right. But above that, there is another meta layer where at least one side that believes they're right is wanting peace, actually seems to prefer peace, and the other side says they want peace, but keep on attacking every moment and opportunity they have. Historically speaking, now it doesn't mean this time they won't, but I don't know. You stab me 4 times, and you're like, okay, I'm done stabbing you now. And I'm like, okay, can you put away the knife? Yeah, sure, I'll put away the knife. You put away the knife. Okay, cool. I patch myself up. A week goes by, and then you stab me again. I'm going to start to think that maybe you're going to stab me a lot, or whenever you can. And I'm going to start to not want to hang around you because I don't want to be stabbed. I could be wrong, but I'm not going to take the chance. But there's these things that go on in the world and things that go on in your own life as well. And can we be logical and rational about them? Can we be objective about them? I don't know, but it's worth the effort to try. I think. I could be wrong about that. But I think I'm using logic and reason to say that we need to use logic and reason. And if I'm not, then hopefully somebody points that out using logic and reason. Yeah, I'm being very broad in all this. Yeah, both sound like yours. J&M both sound like yours. I need to step in. That's right. Yeah, yeah, of course. I'm being very broad brush strokes with all this and not being specific, of course. These are examples I'm giving. Without getting specific, we know what I'm talking about, but I'm very loose and fast with it because, again, I'm not trying to pick any side. I'm just saying, it's like, well, maybe the other side is evil too in different ways, and yet, there's all sorts of things. Like, yeah, but who's right? I don't know. Is there a way to figure out who's right and what way they're right? I don't know. And what do we do? How do we fix any of that? What do we do about any of it? Bleeped if I know. But we have to try something that hasn't been tried. We've tried the religion approach. That doesn't seem to work. It worked kind of well, got people to kind of behave. But then it came a problem when our tribe interacted with this tribe because their beliefs are different than our beliefs. And so now we have a conflict. And we both think we're right and we're not willing to back down even a little. There's a problem there. Of course there's a problem. And then we see this pseudo-religion happen in politics. We see a pseudo sort of religion happen in war. And it all comes back to this, I think, the core problem of I'm right, I know I'm right, and of course I'm right because I'm me, and of course you're wrong because you're not me, and if you agreed with me, then you'd be right. And we're not using a system to deduce who is right or wrong. And so the only systems I know of to do that are informal/formal logic and the scientific method. And since we're dealing with words, that means we're using the informal logic, broadly speaking. Now, do we know how to do that adequately enough to resolve the issue? I don't know, but let's try. So, belief, as I said, whether it's sovereign citizen or anything, belief can, and I think will, override truth, logic, and reason. Do I believe that? Yeah. But also I can demonstrate it using truth, logic, and reason. So, yes, I'm guilty, but also not guilty. It's complicated. So those are some thoughts, broadly speaking, and obviously I'm being, loose and fast and hyperbolic, and this isn't like a super deep dive or anything like that, and that's okay. And you can correct me on anything or everything you want to correct me on in the comments, and I'll address them as I'm able to. We have to use logic. We have to attempt to use logic. We have to use the scientific method or attempt to use it. Whether or not we're successful is a different matter, but I think the effort must be done, because I've already seen us humans do the emotional thing over and over again, and sometimes that works, but it's not a guaranteed result. I know I can get a guaranteed result using logic. I don't know what it would look like if we all did, and I'd like to see that. So all I can do is try to encourage people to do that, which is kind of emotional rather than logical. Bleep me. But that makes my point. See, I don't know how that makes my point. All right, that's it. I've got that's it. I've wound down. I've run out of thing, and I've went off track of the sovereign citizen at some point. But that's okay. It's all right. It's fine. Let me know your things in the comments below. And until next time, well, be skeptical. And after next time, stay skeptical. What does it mean to be skeptical? If you're not sure, I've got an episode called Not Suck. What is it to be a skeptic? Where I parodied a show that not many of you have seen. And so you don't understand what the hell I'm doing in that necessarily. But once you do understand, then you'll understand what I did and why I did it. And it's a really small Venn diagram. So check it out if you want to. It's called Not Suck. It's on my channel. I don't feel like linking it, so go find it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, BS and Rock, for keeping me on my toes, BS. Thank you. Captive Task and then God equals square root of -1. We need a smaller way to say his name. All right. Until next time, I already said that. Whatever. Hit the button. Meow, meow, meow. I'm a cat. I don't know.